So after our reviews of Carol, another Todd Haynes film, the glam rock epic Velvet Goldmine.
Which is may or may not be a veiled biopic about the life of David Bowie.
I wasn't catching that at all. I thought it was more Mark Bolan or Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so yeah, it goes pretty well with the David Bowie retrospective as well.
Yeah, fits in with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of an amalgamation of the period of his of like Ziggy Stardust with the period where he was hanging out with Lou Reed and Iggy Pop. It sort of melds them into what. Well, first, what's the story of Velvet Goldmine? That's going to be difficult to summarise.
Well, the basic plot is that it follows a fan of the glam rock pop star Brian Slade, who isn't David Bowie.
Who isn't David
Bowie? Even looks like him, talks like him, dresses like him,
and various pieces of his life reflect him.
Yeah. But besides that, he's nothing like David Bowie. So yeah, he was a glam rock star, and Christian Bale's character was like a big fan of Brian Slade back in the day.
Yeah.
And to the point where like he kind of awakened parts of his sexuality. Anyway, he's grown up and he's become quite a repressed journalist.
Yeah. In a totalitarian version of 1984.
Yeah. I was even saying 1984, isn't it?
Yeah. Just a little bit on the nose though.
Yeah. A little bit. So he's basically investigated what happened to Brian Slade after an infamous incident in the early 70s where he's killed on stage when he kind of disappears from the public eye, and it's he's tasked by his newspaper to uncover the mystery of where Brian Slade went and why he disappeared and this kind of stuff, and along the way he meets people a la in the style of Citizen Kane, and he's investigating about what happened to him and what people's opinions about him were. And it unfolds in a non-linear fashion. Yep.
It's all flashbacks and things of that nature.
Fantasy sequences.
Several fantasy sequences. A bizarre bit with Oscar Wilde.
Yeah. Music videos.
Yeah. Every trick in the book.
Yeah.
It feels like an early film.
Yeah.
By a director who loved the glam rock. Feels a bit like, like Boogie Nights.
Oh, yeah.
How Boogie Nights is like so much more energetic and, like fast and whip hands and like that compared to like Paul Thomas Anderson's later work. That's what this feels like.
I think when a lot of early filmmakers get the first fix and first get a bit of a good budget, like they want to show off the cool techniques they can do.
Yeah.
So we want to do the quick pans and the fast cuts and the snap zooms. There's lots of snap zooms in
contra zooms, Yeah, it's a very energetic film.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly. Well, I think this was his first sort of. Well, do you know the budget for this was about $9 million?
Yeah.
Massive flop as well.
Yeah, I was looking. Yeah. It was met with very mixed reviews.
Yeah.
And it kind of continues to get mixed reviews.
Yeah, I think it's got a cult following now. I think there are a lot of critics who think it's rubbish.
Yeah.
What did you think on the Divide?
I liked the film.
Yeah.
I can't quite make out what it's trying to say.
Yeah.
But overall, I think I get what he was trying to go for.
Yeah.
He does a highly fictionalized version of the world of like London during the glam rock era and of what it's like, 10 decades down, 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
To kind of contrast what the promise of kind of glam rock and post hippiedom was about, and then the actual how it didn't come off.
Yeah.
I think
that's what he's going for. Yeah.
And he just does it in a really stylistic way, where when David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust first arrived, he was quite a controversial figure for his ambiguous sexuality. They reference it in the film, but there's that famous music video where they sing Starman on top of the Pops.
Yeah.
And he puts Mark Ronson puts his shoulder around David Bowie, which today you wouldn't even bat an eyelid, but back in those days it was like, another man showing another man affection. Ah. So I think that I was trying to go for. So it was like all the promise of open sexuality and us being all open towards different types of sexuality and people, the idea of different genders and transsexuality and got all these transgressive ideas and themes, and ultimately how people still revert back to their old ways and aren't very accepting of new ways of, you know, viewing the world or gender or sexuality.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was going for.
Yeah, I agree. I think the problem with the film is, I mean, it's very well. I think the performances are really good in it, and it's got a lot of good ideas. The problem is, I don't think a lot of them stick.
Yeah.
I just think there are too many ideas. Like, I don't think it needed to make 1984 New York a dystopian.
And somehow 1984 New York looks pretty much like London.
Like London.
It was like that was really weird. It was like New York does not look like that. Even in a totalitarian 1984, I don't think it would look like that.
No.
All the kind of like what I liked best about the film was kind of all the little period details.
Yeah.
Which kind of come from all the first half. I like the but you know you follow the story of Brian Slade and how he kind of became a big pop star. It kind of has echoes of David Bowie's career, which I like. I actually quite liked the fact that they framed it from a point of view of someone who was a fan.
Yeah.
I kind of like the whole Christian Bale thing where like the Brian Slade character helped to open up his own sexuality and all this kind of stuff. I kind of liked how it framed it that way.
Yeah.
I really liked the stuff when Ewan McGregor was introduced as
Kurt Wilde.
Kurt Wilde, who's the Lou Reed Iggy Pop amalgamation.
Shh. Well, that was quite interesting because they just got him to sing Iggy Pop songs like TVI and Search and Destroy.
Yeah, but there's one part towards the end of the film where literally he looks just like Iggy Pop, and we were a bit like, we're just stopping it. Is that Iggy?
I thought they'd just got a 1997 Iggy Pop in.
Yeah.
As like a reference, but no, it's Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
His voice goes in and out with the accent.
Yeah.
The accent he does is very poor.
Yeah, he goes between American to Scottish.
I thought at first he was Scottish.
I thought so as well, yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure he does speak with a Scottish accent.
But in the later scenes, he seems to be American.
Yeah, that's it. Out of the opening when he's being interviewed, he talks in his Scottish accent, and then, oh yeah, I played American. Yeah.
Just halfway through production. Oh yeah.
But yeah, Taurus, that could have been just a whole film unto itself.
Yeah.
The whole relationship between Lou Reed and David Bowie could have made for a really interesting film.
Yeah.
Because apparently they had a very volatile relationship, quite a passionate volatile relationship. So, that could have been a whole film.
Yeah.
About an investigative journalist looking into the case of a missing pop star, and then also it could have been a whole film just concentrating on the whole Brian
Slade,
Kurt Wilde, and the glam scene, and so it tries to be a lot of different things all in one big go.
Yeah.
I think when it's at its best, it's when it's kind of just when it's recreating, music videos from the time and concerts from the time, and having little scenes between the characters. Very when films at its best, I think.
Yeah.
I always find it a bit weird when in films, at the ending of that, how it kind of does this montage at the end, it builds to this big crescendo.
Yeah.
And you're left thinking, well, why are we building to a crescendo?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I thought the problem with the film is the ending just didn't. Nothing is summarised because it's a really confused film. Because so spoiler, at the end it turns out that that Brian Slade is Tommy Stone.
Yeah, who was an 80s pop singer. Now, I did think that was quite clever because it did have echoes of what did happen to David Bowie in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because he kind of, after Scary Monsters, he kind of came out of hiding in 83. So kind of close time period wise as well. He came out in 83, wearing a suit, having a similar hairstyle and kind of a bleached hand look to him, and he'd become almost like a professional pop singer.
Yeah.
So that does have echoes of that way. Bowie did disappear for a while, and then he came back.
I was fine with the reveal of that. It was just I thought that they just left a lot of threads hanging.
Yeah.
Ultimately his investigation didn't go very far.
No, not really.
His investigation is because it's clearly just a narrative device to because the film. Do you think the film would have worked without that if it was just a rise and fall biopic of a pop star in the 70s who was clearly meant to be David Bowie?
I think I think it could work, but obviously it was one of his first films. Yeah. It's kind of what I'm Not There does.
Yeah.
I'm Not There's confident enough to just tell the 6 different storylines all at the same time, and it doesn't feel the need to have a central kind of idea. I think since the guy was a young writer, director, you could probably hear him thinking, I need something to tie all this together. I know, an investigative journalist, Citizen Kane. I watched that in film school. I'll use that narrative device to, link it all together. And
well, and obviously it shows it is the only way to get the Arthur character in there, the Christian Slade, Christian Bale one.
Yeah.
So I think the film would be weak without that, but ultimately his investigation can go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, because ultimately the newspaper decides not to run it,
which was an odd. How long is his investigation supposed to be going on for? Because he's supposed to be getting it out for like a weekend or something, and he's like going around the country investigating the whole thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of like
logical sense.
No. It's clear what it's trying to be on a plot point of view, but just from a logical point, it doesn't make much sense or anything.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely more of a film about the mood and the feeling.
Yeah.
As opposed to any kind of narrative sense.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously supposed to be a love letter to glam.
Yeah.
It's also not very. I didn't feel there wasn't much of a critique of glam. It was pretty much an open celebration.
That's kind of one of the things that didn't really sit right with me.
Yeah. Well, it just basically portrays it as an Edenic heaven.
Yeah.
That's just destroyed the second that this Brian Slade commits his fake death.
Yeah.
It was weird. I thought there would be more, the only real scene you get is
either that or maybe what he was trying to go for was that maybe that's how people felt about glam and felt about Bowie at the time, like he could change the world, and obviously he didn't.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing of Brian Slade being shot on stage it has echoes of when David Bowie announced he was killing off Ziggy Stardust on stage, so he was metaphorically killing off the character on stage. But maybe the whole idea is meant to be like, this is how people felt about glam, how he felt about David Bowie, that he could change the world, and ultimately he didn't.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense and all from the fact it's all from people's point of view.
Yeah.
So obviously if it's people looking back, it would seem more idyllic.
I wish I was a bit more done with the whole downfall thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing where like he's snorting coke off that lady's arsehole.
Yeah.
That's me like, okay. I wish there was a little bit more about maybe him like filling in the gaps.
Yeah.
I wish there was a bit more what happened in the intervening years between when he stopped being Brian Slade and when he came out as being Tommy Stone. I would have quite liked to have seen what he was up to.
Yeah.
And then he could have played upon the whole, David Bowie, Finn White Duke period. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem again, because there's so many ideas and things. It just I think it shortchanges the ironically Brian Slade character.
Yeah.
Like I get the fact that he's supposed to be quite like enigmatic, because it's doing the sort of standard thing, which I suppose even I'm Not There does, where this character is so iconic and big you can't really get into his head.
Yeah.
So it's told from other people's point of view, but it undermines that by not showing anything that happens in the intervening years.
That's it. Yeah.
It all means that it's harder to care about what's happening just because we don't understand who this character is. I mean, he's fine with what he's given, Jonathan Rhys Meyer.
Yeah. I think he does a really good job.
Yeah.
He plays the role well.
Yeah.
It's just not given a lot to...
Well, it's much more surface than any of the other characters.
Yeah.
Style over substance, really, isn't it?
Yeah.